It's the extremist movie debate. And tonight, we're talking 2017's reboot of the remake of The Mummy.
I'm unpaid intern Jeff.
I'm Ethan, and one of us is going to love it, one of us is going to hate it.
Let the coin decide their fate.
I love
guys,
it.
Don't get mad and...
Jeff hates it.
Hey guys, don't get mad and exact vengeance by trying to stab us in the chest with some magical dagger to get eternal godlike powers. There are spoilers ahead.
Yeah.
All right.
Accurate.
Who loves it?
I do.
All right, Ethan. Since this movie has a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes,
Rightfully so.
you're going
The Real
first.
Sister Act 2 situation.
So David Sims of The Atlantic says,
Except us.
I get it.
as the
Back in
beginning...
the habit.
Continue.
I will shut off your mic, sir.
That's fine.
David Sims of The Atlantic says, as the beginning of an ongoing series, it's an utter bore. One with only the faintest grasp of what made Universal's monster picture so iconic all those decades ago. Ethan, can you please tell us what this new and exciting Tom Cruise movie got right in replicating an old school Hollywood horror picture? You have 1 minute.
You're never going to be able to replicate an old school Hollywood horror picture. What those movies got right is they were monsters when everybody else was singing and dancing and frolicking about, happy whatever songs. So
Happy Joy.
Happy Joy Joy. Like those movies, I'm going to go ahead and say it. No, I'm not. Those movies are mediocre, but those movies also existed at a time when other movies like that didn't exist, and if anybody was able to do a monster of halfway decent quality, hooray, great. So what this movie does is it has that horrible weight of all these other monster movies existing around it, all these other action movies existing around it, so how can it possibly live up to that? Well, it can possibly live up to that by copying Marvel's MCU ideas and just putting that into their own universe. So what it does is, it creates a Nick Fury character, it creates a really good Robert Downey Jr. character and a really great sidekick in Jake Johnson / Pepper Potts. And all of a sudden, we're building up a universe that we can go ahead and bring those other monsters into, and we can have fun action set pieces, because ultimately, all anybody ever actually wants is to sit their butt down and have some popcorn and a smile on their face, and
Thank
we're
you
good.
for those words, Ethan. Jeff, you have 30 seconds to respond.
I mean, they didn't really create a Nick Fury character. They created a Pants from the Divergent series in...
Talk about Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe, who is there purely to say, we discovered these monsters. Monsters are real. The entire rest of the universe is going to be us discovering these monsters and bring them in because we can work with their evil. And it's fucking garbage. I don't understand why you think that this is... It's more comparable to the DC universe at this point.
Thank you, Jeff. Ethan, you have 15 seconds to respond.
Because this movie clearly establishes that evil gods exist and there needs to be a force in order to counteract that. Now, that force wasn't pulling their weight. Russell Crowe's whatever. And so by having Tom Cruise sacrifice himself and become a half god by the end, all of a sudden there's somebody that we can control with a great amount of power.
Ethan. Jeff, you have a final 15?
But the way they establish that there's evil is by a shitty walkthrough of a science lab where you see the Lagoon Monster's hand and you see a Dracula skull and he goes, these are things we found throughout history, and you just go, okay, so clearly they're setting up the movies, and then he goes, oh, I'm Dr. Jekyll, by the way.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
There's a Black Lagoon hand?
Yeah, Creature from the Black
I
Lagoon
might
hand.
need to actually go watch this movie.
There is.
Oh, I'm sorry. African-American Lagoon.
Oh, boy. All right, Jeff. You're up.
Nope.
John Liu of The Straits Times says...
The what?
The Straits Times says...
We say forward.
This is, for the most part, a well-made piece of summer entertainment. It just clobbers the viewer senseless with action. Could you please explain the harm in having a senseless popcorn movie? Why can't people just enjoy things? You have 1 minute.
Well, thank you, Joe. I mean, I am okay with people enjoying things if those things have substance and a background and more to contribute to film than this movie has to offer. This movie is, at the end of the day, a 2-hour-long piece that establishes that Tom Cruise at the end of the day is going to be a god with unlimited powers. That's the point of the movie, is because, he's so against the Arma or whatever her name is, stabbing him with this dagger that's going to give him the powers, because he's like, oh no, she should blah, 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 blah. And then he's like, you know what, the best thing is for me to be a god. Brr. And it's Tom Cruise shitting on the audience of how fucking stupid they are, because Tom Cruise is a garbage human, we all know this, and this movie is a pile of garbage, and it's just a shrine of garbage to a garbage king. Ethan, talk.
All right, Ethan, you have 30 seconds.
I disagree with you in the point of this movie. The point of this movie is to show the arc of Tom Cruise going from being a selfish, self-centered asshole into being somebody who was absolutely...
bigger self-centered.
I disagree,
asshole.
because in that moment that he sacrifices himself, what he does is he sees the blonde girl's dead body. Yes, she's just the blonde girl. That's the only reason she exists in this movie. She probably worked for very little pay. Sees her dead, drowning, and then all of a sudden he thinks, I'm going to kill myself because that's the only way that Russell Crowe's happy, and that's the only way that other innocent people stop dying. And then he just happens to be able to control the god and then set the world right again. That's just a coincidence. That's
Thanks,
a happenstance.
Ethan. Jeff, you have 15 seconds.
Yes, he's a self-centered asshole, but the entire point of him stabbing, he knew he wasn't going to die with the dagger, because he was going to live on, because something else was going to possess his body and his sentient being. Just not him. So he's still going to be alive.
Very good, Jeff. Ethan, you have a final 15.
Look, he doesn't know that. As far as he knows, he's going to be possessed by an Egyptian god of death, and that is it. That's the end of his life. You know, Jake Johnson's gone. Everybody else is gone. He kills himself so that other innocent people do not die, and Russell Crowe can possibly save the world. It just turns out that he can also save the world.
Thank you, Ethan. How does Jake Johnson die?
Jake Johnson gets shot 3 times by Tom Cruise.
No, first he gets bit.
Twice.
He gets bit by a camel spider,
and then he opens up the coffin, and then he
comes from the mummy
kills
lady.
the black guy, which is also, you know, if we're talking about, you know, I won't get into that, but I'm just saying, why does Tom Cruise get picked by the mummy and not the black general?
Because Tom Cruise.
Okay, you guys have 4 minutes.
Oh, I thought we were doing that. All right, cool.
Okay.
Anyways, Jake Johnson gets shot 3
start.
times. Nice try, asshole.
Yeah, but it's because, you know, apparently the mummy, she can possess camel spiders now to... Oh, thanks, my booby.
Look, the mummy could always possess
she
scarabs. The mummy could always possess
She possesses everything for
it's,
no
it's
fucking
called a
apparent
curse. Have you ever heard of it?
Apparent reason.
You don't understand how... I don't think you understand how curses work.
No, I do, because my family is Egyptian. But...
Is that real?
Yeah. My dad's
No, they are not.
My dad's Egyptian.
I don't believe you.
Yeah. My dad is 43% Egyptian.
No way
But
in
here's the thing,
hell.
and they don't understand why the curses work the way they work, because the mummy lady just walks up to English police officers and grabs them by the mouth hole and sucks on it for a while, and then there's like...
Life forces them.
And they're kind of like, oh, I'm a zombie mummy, but now I'm under control of everything.
They're life forces. Yeah, they're like space vampires.
But then also when Tom Cruise punches them, you know, when you turn into a mummy, you apparently turn into sand. Fuck the fact that you have bones and organs in there that are still like solidified.
Loose, less energetic skin on top of
explain
loose,
the magic,
less energetic
the magic
bones.
of the movie.
It's easier to kill them.
Explain the magic of the movie.
It would also be
That's
easy to kill the mummy, except that the mummy is sucking everybody else's life force, and so she is getting stronger.
The fact that this magic is actually like real and exists. It's just them jerking themselves off.
How does this movie not explain that this magic is real and exists? There's an entire sandstorm crusading through London.
Okay,
Speaking of crusaders.
Cool, it's because the mummy lady just goes, and then her stupid mummy face comes out of a building. That's all she does to create a sandstorm.
That's an iconic image from the Mummy series and all the Infinite series
it's
and
not
reboots and such.
It's not explained. It's just them spitting on the audience going, you're going to like this.
The audience gets exactly what it wants. It gets a really sexy mummy doing massive carnage all over the globe.
Okay, so first of all, we don't need to bring the mummy's sexiness into this.
The movie brought the mummy's sexiness
it doesn't,
into this.
She's
the
like...
The movie starts off with her completely nude, ass crack, side boob. The movie does this for you.
But you're just now sexualizing a female body. Why do you
I agree that the movie did that.
Oh, so you're just saying...
I'm not saying that the movie is perfect. I'm just saying I really enjoyed it. But you're agreeing that you're sexist
because you saw a butt and you're like, oh yeah, I'm awake for this. I'm going to sleep through the rest of it.
No. I'm just saying that the movie already establishes this for us. So
okay,
if I'm calling the movie out for what
my next point is
we can call the movie out for being sexist. I already called the movie out for being a little bit racist. If anything, I called the mummy out for being racist. They're trying to build
that this movie is supposed to be like, you know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the DC Cinematic Universe, in the fact that they're like building stories around these legendary monsters. Can you explain how they do it well without just showing a shitty shot of the Lagoon monster's hand or just going, I'm Jekyll, by the way, like... How is this movie, like, making anyone literally interested at all?
As far as do they accomplish the feat that Marvel does? Absolutely. They basically recreated Iron Man, but with Tom Cruise and Russell Crowe and Jake Johnson.
Interesting. Because there's no real conflict.
If you're going to argue that at all, just say
there's no
they copied Marvel. But
like Iron
you
Man
can't
has
say
a
they
conflict.
didn't succeed because they absolutely just copied Marvel. All right, and that is a proven formula.
They more copied DC with Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, with the shitty scene of Bruce Wayne on the computer going, blah, 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 oh, here's a clip of the Flash, blah, 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 here's a clip of the Cyborg, blah, 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 here's a clip of Aquaman.
You would be accurate
that movie
if the
was
next
just Tom
movie
Cruise
that's
going,
going to
what's
come
that
out
in that case?
in
What's
2
that in that
years
case?
featured
What's
all
that in
of
that
the
case?
monsters together, but instead it's not going to. It's going to feature
trying to do
probably
that.
the Invisible Man next, because that's going to be Johnny Depp, and then probably the Creature of the
No,
Black Lagoon,
they're
because that's a
definitely
little
gonna
bit
do a
too
Dr.
silly,
Jekyll
and you have to
movie
establish
because
the whole
Russell Crowe
series.
established that he's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Well, he's not going to have his own standalone movie.
Oh, he's definitely
doesn't have his own
they've confirmed
standalone
he's having a
movie.
standalone movie.
Absolutely not. No.
I mean,
you can't do that because Russell Crowe is Nick Fury, and also because Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde book is really
But also
good
remember
and not
they wanted
set in
to
that
do
time
Nick
period.
Fury
Thank
movie.
you,
I don't
that's
understand
4
why you don't
minutes.
understand this.
This movie is never
Hold on.
going to have a universe whatsoever.
I want to do a follow-up question, 15 seconds apiece.
Oh, sorry, I already broke.
right.
No, it's okay. Jeff,
Yeah.
would Brendan Fraser have saved this movie? You got 15 seconds.
No. I mean, maybe if he was the Jake Johnson character. I mean, Jake Johnson was probably my favorite part of the movie, but this whole movie's so comical, it's so hard to take it seriously as like a dark universe movie, and that's... We'll talk about that.
Thank you. I think that's kind of strange you went with that way since Brendan Fraser is a very comical actor. Ethan, why is Tom Cruise better than Brendan Fraser? You have 15 seconds.
I think Jake Johnson...
Am I still in character?
Yes.
Because Tom Cruise is a proven actor who has proven consistently to pick good works and always deliver. He does his own stunts. He always performs, like even if he does the schlockiest movies, like, Oblivion or something, he's
Jack
always
Reacher,
there.
Shadow Recruit.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Hey,
He gives it his all.
Hey guys, how did you actually feel
Brendan
about
Fraser
the
would have
Mummy?
been infinitely better in this movie because this movie has so much comedy that Tom Cruise cannot deliver because he is like 60 and all of the other characters are like 25 and it feels really, really weird. He takes this movie way too seriously. There are moments where he's supposed to be delivering a punchline and everybody in the theater is cringing.
Are you
and by
broken
everybody
right
in the theater, I fucking mean nobody because I went to an opening night and it was empty. What?
Wait, are you out of character now?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
No, that was me. That was
okay,
me
so
being
you-
mad
so-
at this
so you-
movie.
I mean, I didn't like this movie, but I don't think I hated it as much as you did.
Oh, it's real bad.
No, it's
Tom Cruise is a really good actor,
it's
and
not
he
great.
does a great job in
I
everything
mean,
that he does.
he's definitely an actor.
But this
I
movie,
don't think he's a great actor.
It's like-
I mean, I'll disagree with you there. And I mean, this movie for Tom Cruise, I felt like the way, like I went and saw Baywatch. Baywatch was for Dwayne Johnson. Like, he's acting his heart out with the material he's given, but it's garbage material, so it's garbage acting.
I'd also like to cut in and just say that Dwayne Johnson's a garbage actor.
Well, you're kind of wrong. Have you seen Walk Tall?
Here's the thing: Tom Cruise doesn't do pratfalls. He doesn't do that sort of slapstick kind of
Yeah.
shit, and that's what this movie largely needed, because a lot of it was written for something like that.
Yeah,
It was just
and-
really cool that they got Tom Cruise. They're like, well, we're just going to do it. We need to change the script. No, we don't need to change the script.
But it's weird that they are trying to set up like a dark monster universe, but this movie is played off so comically that it's so hard to take it seriously as like a dark series. I think the darkest part of the movie is we see it infanticized twice. Like,
Do we really?
Yeah, we see a baby murdered twice, and that's the darkest part of the movie. Outside of that, it's all just jokes and
I
like.
thought like the first part of this movie, the first introduction of Jake Johnson, and let's just call it Nathan Drake because that's what it is.
Or Nick Miller from New Girl, just in the Middle East.
Who's Nathan Drake?
He's a dude from Uncharted. It's a PlayStation game. You don't play video games. It's okay.
Yeah.
But they ripped off his character real hard.
Yeah,
Anyways, they start off with like these beautiful statues in Mesopotamia, and then they get shot up, and it's like, okay, so that's a thing that ISIS does. So these soldiers, this is ISIS, and we're in Iraq now. And then the next scene is like them just running away from them comically, and then turning around and shooting them down in the middle of a village. It's like, this is not appropriate at this time.
I was gonna say, this movie starts off with the filmmakers painting America's best as just like looters, and I thought that was really weird. And the fact that people like kind of like that was like, are you sure you should be liking that? Because there is a real conflict going on in the world right now.
Yeah,
and they're just painting us like assholes. But whatever.
And like, I mean, insult ISIS all you want, but like, you don't get to just show them as comedians. You might as well just set it to Benny Hill music. Like, that's not appropriate. That is a valid threat in our country right now. We don't get to set up that scene and have like, oh, all of our whims are cast away.
But I mean, I think the film had like a cohesive story. It just wasn't a good or interesting story. So,
totally.
like, I followed along, and I was just like, the entire movie, I was like, oh well, like that was kind of a cool sequence, but it's still kind of stupid. Like I don't think I hated it as much as you did.
No, I thought the action was perfectly fine. Alex Kurtzman is a really mediocre writer and producer.
I don't know what else he's done.
He wrote like the first 2 Star Trek movies, and he produced a couple of shitty things like Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like he's had his ups and downs, but it's like pretty much his first time directing. He's done other stuff.
Okay.
Pretty much this. So it's you have a producer who's setting up a universe for a franchise that he's likely going to produce and help write, and he is directing his first movie, and it's very clear that this movie exists to set up a franchise.
It's pretty much,
and that's to his detriment.
This is the Zack Snyder monster movie of the Dark Universe for Universal, and I have absolutely no interest in seeing any other film they produce at this point. Like, I don't care.
Did you know that Dracula Untold was supposed to be the first in
Yeah, I read that, and I was like, well, that makes sense.
So that's the one with Luke Evans?
Yep.
Yeah. Chris Evans.
So how would you guys rate The Mummy from 2017?
I'll let you go first.
Jeff, you go first.
I'll go first. Like 6. No thunder.
4. No thunder.
Like, that's the thing. It was like, I didn't hate the movie, and I think anything for me under 5 is I hated it. like I've definitely seen worse this year.
Sure, and they successfully put flashy images up on the screen. It's for me, it was most of the stuff that happens like behind the scenes that you can see the little hands moving all the little puppets to make this work into a franchise.
Also,
was so infuriating to me.
I'm not an expert on plane crashes, but I highly doubt when a plane is plummeting, you just float around in 0 gravity for like 4 minutes. I'm pretty sure you just like bang around the cabin for a real long time, a la Flight.
I think that's what happened.
Jeff,
they were also losing cabin pressure pretty rapidly.
I
there was
took
a door wide open.
Astronomy class.
Yep.
It's accurate.
Okay.
This movie nailed it.
So go ahead and like and subscribe. Let us know how we did, and you can also comment below if you'd like us to do a movie in the future. Request it. You can also write down a question for that movie, and most likely Unpaid Enter Jeff will read it, and we'll debate it. Thanks.
Thanks, and good night.